Welcome to Sivako, the road to Avatar. I am Shaun Alexander, and I will be your guide to the world of Pandora and beyond. And today, joining me on my journey through Pandora is a very special guest. They have quite an expertise, I would say. Special guest, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hey everyone, but I'm probably better known as Avatar Guy.
And honestly, it's a pleasure to have you on because when I first started this podcast up, you were like one of the first people I sort of found Avatar themed content around, which was like a nice reintroduction to the world.
I'm
Um,
glad.
yeah, it's weird because obviously I think a lot of people are going to do this sort of journey of like, oh, I watched it, back in '09 and maybe watched it again sometime around then, but now I'm trying to revisit it and learn a bit more coming back into it.
Yeah, it's funny people coming back into it, whereas I don't think I've ever left it. I'm one of the very rare breed of people who, I've stuck with this from the very beginning. It's kind of scary that it's even becoming real now.
Oh, well, you know what? That leads into my first question for you, which is when did you first see the film?
So I'm gonna be kind of sad because I remember exactly when I first saw it. It would have been the Saturday, so December 19th, that it came out, and it was the 11 o'clock showing. And I remember it really distinctly because, um, like my family we didn't go to the cinema a lot because it was so expensive. Like literally, I think the last time we'd been to the cinema before to that seeing Avatar was Transformers, and that was like a couple of years before that, I think. Um, and I'd actually saved up to make sure that we would go. So I probably, if I looked hard enough, I could probably find the ticket stub somewhere as well. So yeah, I
That's
remember.
amazing to have the ticket
I,
stub as well.
yeah, I remember being like to my because I was a teenager at the time of when it came out, which kind of dates me. But yeah, I remember being like, we have to go see this in the cinema, like no matter what, we have to go see it. And I remember it being, yeah, yeah, it was a special moment for me.
Amazing. And honestly, I feel like a lot of people's experience, everyone's journey seems to be quite similar. Is seeing it that sort of opening weekend, or certainly within that first few weeks.
Yeah.
Um, and it's kind of cool to see that that impact is still radiating nowadays. Like people still remember it so vividly.
I mean, that's the thing is like when I talk to people about it, it's so interesting the difference between what I thought like or I would regard as when I talk with kind of general audiences, people who I wouldn't classify as people who go online a lot, and I mention Avatar and I mention that I'm a huge fan of it. The reception is nearly always positive. They have a positive like memory of it, and when I tell them there's a sequel coming, or at least when I before the teaser dropped, they were always like shocked and like, oh, that's interesting. Um, so it was always quite nice and certainly interesting the difference between what I'd been used to seeing online about Avatar versus the conversations I had with people in real life about it.
Yeah, I think there is like a big disconnect between what general audiences actually think of Avatar and then what online audiences think of Avatar. And I think
Yeah.
that disconnect is like probably gonna, probably only gonna get worse when we get to the Way of Water, I imagine.
I'm hoping that it gets better. I'm hoping that people are gonna reevaluate and when they see it, that they'll like with Jim's recent comments. He says when they see it, they'll shut up or something along those lines. I'm kind of I'm on his side.
With comments like that, it better be good.
I have complete and utter faith in him. I think, I mean, I guess that's kind of actually a broader point is that I think I'm more and always have been a bigger James Cameron fan than I ever was an Avatar fan. Like I guess I've got to confess that. Um, and that's the entire reason why I was so excited for Avatar in the first place. I knew it was his first movie, like first feature film since Titanic in '97. That's what got me so excited for it.
Yeah, and to be honest, I don't blame you for being like a more of a James Cameron fan because it's not like his body of work's bad in any sense. It's almost flawless.
Yeah. I mean, there's either my least favorite of his movies is True Lies, and that's just because I don't think it particularly resonates with me. Um, and I don't count Piranha 2 as his either, although I have watched it just for like completeness sake. But he got sacked after 2 weeks, so I don't count it as his actual movie, and I don't think he does either. So I think if you only count what he personally says, yes, I 100% directed that, then yeah, I can't. I don't think you can really fault anything he's ever put out. It feels like nothing is even approaching mediocre.
Yeah, and you mentioned True Lies. I enjoy True Lies. It's definitely one of the ones that for me I don't associate it as a Cameron film as much, which is odd.
I think he
Um,
didn't write it. I think is maybe.
I think that must be it. It doesn't feel it. It feels almost like a Shane Black film to me.
Yeah, yeah, actually, and yeah, I can see that. I mean, when they were making it, he actually joked to Arnold. He was like, "Oh, I'll quit and we'll get Paul Verhoeven, the guy who did RoboCop, to do it." Um, but no, yeah, I know what you mean. It doesn't feel. Maybe there's not enough water in it. Maybe that's the reason. I don't know.
It's a
But you can
dry
tell that he
film.
didn't write it. Yeah. It's like James Cameron definitely didn't write this. Otherwise, there would have been an extended sequence underwater.
Yeah. All right, so I'm going to move on to the next question, which is there a favorite moment from the first Avatar?
Oh, 100%. Um, and this is one that again is from the cinema. I remember it. Probably remember this till the day I die. It's the moment when the wood sprites come down and cover Jake. And the reason I remember it so vividly is I remember being in the cinema and I was so immersed in the movie that I actually reached out to try and touch one without even, you know, realizing what I was doing. I actually reached out to try and grab one from the air and then felt really silly after. And that's only happened to me one other time with a movie, and that was I think with Gravity in 3D when the one of the satellites like explodes, and I lifted my hand to stop the shrapnel hitting me in the face. I was that immersed in the film. But with Avatar, that's the moment where I was like, oh my god, I've never been felt that in the moment in a movie. Um, that will stick with me, yeah, forever because it was like it'd gone beyond cinema or film. I've just been completely tricked into believing that I'm actually on this other world. That's how there I am.
I think that shows just like how powerful the 3D element of it was as well.
Mm-hmm.
Like in the 3D is such an interesting innovation to me in that it had so much promise and then they did like most directors did absolutely nothing with it, and it feels like we're just calling out for someone to reinvent it again and use it correctly, how it's used in stuff like Avatar or Life of Pi or Gravity.
Yeah, I have like a big theory around this because I think the difference is usually it's almost in the directors themselves that when they're trying to make something that they have had this vision of, or like some people might call it there when they're making art versus when they're making a product. If you're making just a product, you want to do it as efficiently as possible. You don't, putting all the extra effort in to make it maybe I don't know 20% better and give people these extra deep emotional or like visceral moments isn't if it doesn't massively improve the box office results of the movie, then they're not going to do it right. um and I feel like Cameron really wanted it to go one way and cinema just went the other way, unfortunately. But maybe now maybe he can do it again. I don't know about the tech that they've developed for A2. I know that they have improved like the process and the pipelines and things to try and make it more accessible to people. And they've talked a lot about like the democratization of the technology. Um, so I guess fingers crossed we might see a kind of a little bit of life brought back into 3D. Although I'm not holding my breath, honestly.
Yeah, I'm not holding my breath on it either. To be fair, I've got bigger hopes than the re-emergence of 3D, honestly.
Yeah, yeah, same.
And
It's just
that sort of leads nicely on to how are you feeling excitement levels wise for The Way of Water?
I was really worried, because I've obviously been hyping it up to myself for so long that I had this deep fear that it wouldn't be able to live up to my expectations. But when the teaser dropped, I kind of just was like, yeah, why did I ever doubt him? It's blown me away. The music of it when I saw it in 3D. I was like, yeah, he's hit it out of the park. Like the fact that I even doubted that this couldn't live up to my expectations, I almost felt a little guilty. And so now I'm almost at this place where it's like hovering between. I have no doubt in James Cameron's ability to make an amazing sequel that's going to blow everyone's socks off, and also like an almost internal panic that it's doesn't feel real that it's finally here. You know, because I was joking, and I guess this is like the thing is that we've been counting down. Like, so do you know about the countdown? So the Avatar countdown.
I'm very aware of the countdown.
Right, the countdown, right. So we've been counting down. This Sunday was it was 2,200 days since the countdown started, right? And
Ouch.
it's not just me that's counting down, by the way. So like, I don't ever want to take credit for this ever. It's this has been a robust network of people doing it, and it was actually, I think, one of my favorite things about the whole process is that even during those dark days, I think it must have been like 2016 when it started, but even during the darkest days where it felt very lonesome being an Avatar fan, there was a small dedicated fan base still, counting down and like basically just trying to be positive that that the movie's coming, that it's gonna be amazing, and making just really funny memes to try and encourage people, and that has massively kept me going 100%. In fact, it's blown me aware at how like wholesome the community around it is. It's really nice.
Yeah, and honestly, I love that countdown. It's kind of funny to see that. I think I saw like a chart which showed every time it reset,
Yeah.
and that was quite painful to look at. To be
Oh
fair,
yeah, there were dark days in the threads when the reset happened, because I remember it like for at one point it was like 700 days and then it reset and it went back to over 1,000, and the day that it went over 1,000 there was just loads of images of people crying and just saying, oh no, why, and then there's also this other like meme that is never coming out. um even my own mother, until very recently when the teaser came out, didn't think that it was ever coming out, which was, that's interesting.
you know what? While we're here, well, let's our chat today is going to be a lot about the Avatar community and also your experience with YouTube. While we're chatting about the Avatar community, um, how's your experience been with it? Obviously, you said you've been sort of there from the early days.
It's only ever been positive, honestly. And again, I don't know, like people like 4chan is seen as like quite a bit of like an internet bogeyman, but I have like from I guess the early days that there's a big difference in the blue boards of 4chan, which are those that are seen as safe for work, and the not safe for work boards, which I think most people think of when they think of 4chan. And for me, the community goes all the way back to the original release of Avatar. And on the television and film board, there was a poster called Abatap, who used to post every single day a picture of Neytiri until it became something of a joke and talk about the number of nays until Avatar came out. And that was just so funny because even though I guess TV is a safer work board, there can still be a lot of negativity on it. And yet Abatap was just kind of this really strange person who just refused to stop posting pictures of Neytiri. And then that kind of died down for a few years. And I think around 2012, 2014, between those years, it wasn't Avatar posting so much as it was Jim posting. And there was a lot of pictures of James Cameron photoshopped to look like either Napoleon or an emperor, like the emperor for Warhammer 40,000. Just him looking like this kind of really amazing figure, and people talking about how James Cameron was going to come back to cinema and save us all from bad movie making. And that continued for quite a while, and that there was discussion about Avatar within those discussions, but it was mostly focused on James Cameron and about him being an explorer, about him never bending his knee, to like the studios in the pursuit of his vision. And they were quite interesting and funny. But then when the countdowns started, and the very first one, and I went back and found it, like, and I posted it, was that someone posted it. It was like before a delay in 2016. It was 2.5 years until Avatar 2 comes out, and that kind of set off this new wave of people posting where everyone started talking, calling each other based, and saying that everyone was a robust network, and um, talking about how it's getting closer every day, and things like that. And that was definitely in that space. And then at the same time, I kept putting, so my channel looked different than it does right now. So for the longest time, I went by Sci-Fi Guy, and I would upload, I think, things in three categories. I would upload things to do with Silent Hill, which is a video game series that I really love. I would upload things to do with James Cameron, and I would upload like random things. And usually, because there was so little Avatar content, it was just, oh, this is about James Cameron, something cool about him, maybe an interview that I'd found somewhere, um, and like a documentary that I'd found somewhere. Um, and then I remember, it was a few years ago, like it must have been a few years ago, this magazine or something came out, and it was like the first concept art. And I was like, oh my God, the first concept art, let's make a video for it. And that's where that started, really. Um, and then another thing kind of happened was that I wanted a space where I could get the people who were posting in the countdown thread, because the nature of 4chan is that it's so like, it's so transient, as in, that no, everyone's anonymous, the threads disappear, there's no like identity of people that stick together. And so I created the Discord server just to see if anyone from there would be willing to join it, and people did. And then, and I didn't want to replicate that countdown, away from the where it was happening, but a user called Calzone started doing it as well. And so we just created a role for him, and there was like probably 100 people. I don't know, no, 100 people is a complete exaggeration. There's probably like 20 people, honestly. But we just kept doing the countdown, and every day we'd react with like, look, the blue love heart and stuff, and saying it's coming, it's getting closer, and just making jokes of the fact that it feels like it's getting closer every day, and things like that. But also at the same time, a lot of people who I think are really like create, like, one thing that always shocks me about the community, and maybe this is me just being naive, is how creative and just like immensely talented people are. So people, that they post amazing art, they'll post like really cool music that they've made themselves. It genuinely does blow me away. And also the stuff around nature that I'm hoping becomes more prevalent with the sequels, that you see a lot of people in the community, and even this is myself, I include myself in this, is that I know that I've tried to, be more like, go for longer walks in nature and try and appreciate it more in general. I think that's another aspect of it that I've really appreciated. Sorry, I kind of rambled on a bit there.
No, no, honestly, it's amazing because I'm new to this new community. Really, I did love Avatar from '09, but this is the first time really joining in and delving into it and hearing about like the history of it through 4chan and everything like that.
So I really want to make like a serious like retrospective like look back for like 100 days. So when it gets to 100 days, I'd love to do a video where it just kind of goes back through some of the threads and some of the things, and kind of takes a look at when things were first posted and different memes that have come and gone. I think that would be something really cool to do.
Yeah, that would be incredible because obviously there's so much history to it, and obviously, it's not like a Marvel movie where you wait a couple of weeks and a new thing's out.
Yeah.
There's literally like 13 years of content you can delve into and be like,
Yeah.
all right, what's the good bits from this?
Mm-hmm.
And that's so interesting as well. Like you're saying as well, like I do think there's a lot of creativity in this community, and with artwork, with stories, with the language and everything like that as well. It's
Mm-hmm.
so
Oh
so
yeah, for
interesting to
sure.
see. and also about the nature side of it, and almost like taking the James Cameron route of being like more conscious to the earth and things like that. And I
Yeah,
think that's definitely something that I could see the Avatar community pushing more of, and it's really good to see.
yeah, for sure. It's we like. I think another joke is that I don't even know if this is really a joke. If I'm being honest, is that he's trying to save the world with these movies, and I think that there is a significant section of his mind where he is thinking, these movies are more than just movies. They're a statement about the world, you know, and hopefully we can see something actually manifest itself out of these movies. Um, I know that after the first one came out, there was a lot of there was a lot of protests and things about tribes in the Amazon fighting deforestation, and so maybe hopefully more things like that can actually happen. But we'll see. I guess it's a watch this space.
Yeah, that's one of those things where it's sort of we need to see how things run
Yeah.
post Way of Water, which is a weird thing to say. Like we're having to wait now, got to wait for the movie to come out before we can even
Yeah.
talk on that topic. Really, um, that's gonna be a whole different world we live in at that point. I feel like
Yeah.
I don't even know what it's gonna be like being like there's two movies out now. Like,
I
how am I
know.
gonna react?
It's gonna be it's gonna be interesting to see what happens to the community after the release of the movie, because like you said, the people a large percentage of the people it's a strange mix at the moment because there's a lot of people who've kind of been fans from '09, but then there's also this big group of people who have been fans because they caught it way after. So some people were like 3 or 4 years old when the movie came out in cinema and never saw it in 3D. And in fact, it's one of I literally put out a video today about the remasters that are coming and how I'm really excited for the technical upgrades that they're putting on those for those remasters. In fact, I actually am in contact with the technical director of the company who has who's worked on these. So I'm trying to kind of get a scoop or some kind of exclusive from him, but we'll see. I don't know yet, but we'll see. But the thing that I'm more excited about than all those technical upgrades, which I think are going to be cool, is that there's going to be so many people who are going to be able to see this movie for the first time in 3D who never did. And I did a community post on my channel, and it got about 4,000 responses, and it was shocked me that 50% of the people hadn't ever seen the movie in 3D. Which is crazy to me because I'm so excited for those people to see it. I mean, I'm excited for myself to see it again in 3D. I haven't seen it in proper 3D in a while, and to see it in the upgraded format. But I do think that they're in for even the people who are diehard fans are in for a real treat.
Yeah, like the fact that it's 3D and first time experience seeing it in a theater as well for a lot of
Yeah,
people, and I
yeah,
think that theater experience does make such a difference for it. 'I've
100%.
watched it quite a few times since this podcast started. I'm watching on like a 4K TV, so I'm not saying it looks bad. It looks fantastic, but it's not the same as seeing it in a theater.
Yeah, you're totally right. I mean, even listening to your, the retrospectives what
Mm.
you did for Aliens and Terminator, so it kept making me think that Aliens is my all-time favorite movie, um, and Terminator's up there too. But I got to see Aliens for the first time ever in the theater maybe 4 years ago, um, and yeah, it properly blew me away. Even though I've probably seen that film 50 times, that there is really something, isn't there? That's it's really hard to even explain, but there's something so different seeing the movie on the big theater screen than there is to just kind of watching it. No matter how good your TV is, there's just some I don't know intangible positive to it. I can't explain it, but I love it.
Oh, I agree with you entirely. Like, I will go out my way to see films, but I know I will love to see it the theater, like in a movie theater.
Yeah.
I went to see There Will Be Bloods on like a 70 millimeter print,
Oh,
and it was like unreal experience. My
oh my,
brain was melting in the seat because it looked so good, and obviously 70 millimeters totally different from watching something in
oh my god!
4K.
I literally just got goosebumps. That would be so good, man. That would be. Oh, I need to. That's definitely on the list now. There will be blood on. Oh, yeah.
And
That's
this is the thing
so
as well. You
annoying.
could see because obviously I watched it. It must have been about 3-4 years ago now. But you could see in the print the wear and tear in it, and I think it's that physical presence for the 70mm which really made
Yeah.
it so visceral. And obviously that film is stunning anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, something about being in the theater, and I think it's because there is no outside influence. You are solely focused. You're in a different environment to your home, so you're not got distractions. You are just purely focused on what's happening on the screen, and I think that's something that the cinema brings that really heightens the experience.
It's kind of like the equivalent of of seeing a picture of the Mona Lisa versus going to see it in person. Even weirdly, you know what I mean? Like when you see the film grain and you know that it's there on that projector. That's the difference I feel. You know that they look the same objectively. You know they both look exactly very similar, or as close to as similar as one can get it. But actually seeing it, yeah, as it was almost meant to be seen, I think is that one that I constantly say.
Yeah, that's I think that, and I always think of it in terms of like if you're going to like a gig, hearing the music live can be
Yeah.
such a different experience to hearing it on the record, or even just from a recording of someone at the show.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
So you were mentioning a little bit about your YouTube. So when did you first start YouTube?
Oh, I can probably let me like I can probably look. So I started it December 1st, 2007
Wow,
is when I
yeah.
joined.
So that's like even pre-Avatar at that point.
Yeah, no, I should never. This is so bad because again, I deleted it because you have to like to make it like I guess YouTube more YouTube friendly for the algorithm and things. The first video I ever made, there was one about I think Blink-182 breaking up because they are still my favorite band, but the other one was about this thing that it's like James Cameron was making that I'd seen on Wikipedia called Project 880, and I remember making it in like it was like Windows Media Player, or not Windows Media Player, but Windows Movie Maker, the one that came that
Yeah.
installed on anything, and it was like a slideshow. And I remember it sort of. I found some like really like garbage music that I'd found on the internet, and it was like the blue background with the Comic Sans white writing, and it was Project 880 soon coming, like new film from James Cameron, and it was like garbage. but I must have put that out in like 2008, and I was so proud of myself that I'd managed to make a video and put it on YouTube. I thought I was like, yeah, I've made it.
I think that's everyone's. And you know what? That time in YouTube as well was like when, if anyone was a teenager around that time, everyone tried to get into YouTube. Like,
Yeah,
as you could try and deny it, but you did at some point think, oh yeah, I could be a YouTuber because
yeah.
because everyone was really getting hyped about it around that time.
It was the Wild West of
It
YouTube.
was as well because like people were putting out, you know what, genuinely awful content as well
Oh
that
yeah,
time.
like me told you, me included. I was a massive
Oh no, I
contributor
wasn't
to
including that.
that.
I was thinking those awful like sketch comedy things, and oh god, there's some things you if you ever look back on it, don't. It's painful
Yeah,
watching.
I think that's why it's better that some things just remain deleted. But yeah,
Now, obviously, you are Avatar guy now on
yeah.
YouTube, and obviously this last past few months have been like well, basically a treasure trove for you.
I
Like
mean,
plenty of fresh content to talk about.
I think it's been, you know what? Honestly, it's been kind of a bit too much. I've almost felt it's like slow it down, guys, slow it down. Especially that week, when Empire magazine came out, and I think you put your podcast out that week, and I remember listening to you talking about it and saying how much new information we'd got, and I laughed to myself thinking, yeah, all that new information, and it's like, what do I focus on? Do I just throw it all out there? Do I try and um, give an insight to the community? Because even though as I love it, I don't just want to cover it for covering its sake. Like people can read, people have eyes, and uh, the thing is, it's like I want to. Whenever I put a video out, I want to at least be adding something to it that I feel the community will like benefit from. I think there was moments where I was like, do I really want to put this video out there? or not. So like with the most recent one, there's a ton of information about the remasters that have come out, and I could have just thrown a video out there, and this is what I would have done in the past for sure, where it was just like, hey guys, the remaster's happening. These are the details. That's it. But we made a decision, and I say we because again, it's not just me. It's so Ashen one. He goes by Ashen one online. He helps. He's like he basically does the majority of the editing of the videos, and we like work on them together. Obviously, I do the scripts and we do the storyboards, etc. But he will like do the final edit because otherwise I just don't have time. But we had like this huge discussion about what do we do um, when there's just some really basic news that comes out. How are we going to approach it? And so we decided, look, we were only going to put it out if we really do think that there's some value to be added. And it might just be that, yeah, we're saying, hey guys, look, there's these new figurines. This is what we think, or this is what I think. But I didn't want to just put out the content for the sake of putting out content, and that I think has been a kind of weird decision for me, because I think if you'd asked me even a year ago, I would have been like, oh no, yeah, I'll just put out content about everything. So it's been the last few months have been a really strange period in terms of, yeah, I've been loving making content, because obviously the content I was making before, it was like, I was begging for scraps. So anything that appeared, I would want to make a video on it. Whereas now, there's so much. For the first time ever, I can be selective in what I'm actually talking about. And I guess that kind of leads into like the Avatar Pilots podcast. I guess that's kind of the part of the reason why we started that, was that it was a way to talk about some of the things that I don't think were worthy of, or not worthy, but they didn't need their own videos. They didn't need that time to be dedicated to them. And also, because there's so many passionate people in the community and we'd been having voice chats on Discord for years, well, not years, but like a good 6 months before this. And I was like, you know what? Some of these conversations are really insightful. I'm using them in my videos. Why don't we start publishing them? And so I asked a bunch of the people on the Discord if they'd want to do that, and they said sure. And I think we're getting better slowly.
You know what? I absolutely love the podcast. I try and catch it live when I can. I think I've caught I certainly caught
You
the
should
last
you
one
should
live.
you should join one. You should join one for
Oh,
sure.
absolutely! Bring me on. Let me know. Let me know when you're
Come on
doing
to
the
the
next
next.
one.
Seriously, the next one we'll probably do it with. Again, everyone shouts at me because I'm so haphazard. Is that I need to really plan things better. But yeah, please. The more the merrier. I want my goal with it is that I want one where there's like 20 people and everyone's just fighting each other. I want it to just be a cacophony of sound. Maybe not quite that, but definitely I want to give all those like people a voice, because this is the other thing, right? On the latest episode, the wealth of knowledge people have is mind blowing to me. So Minty, who's like joined, he joined the server kind of semi recently. He's a huge, like, he goes to Africa for half of the year. He's from Ireland. He's lived with some of like Africa's tribes. His insights into those kinds of things are just amazing. There are, the true detectives of the server. They know things like they show me when they show me concept art that I've never seen before, or a picture of James Cameron that I've never seen. I'm like, oh my god, this is amazing. This is the best. These people are absolutely fantastic. And then there are a ton of people as well who are kind of in the server but that haven't generally participated, who are also amazing, and we will, with their permission, we'll kind of try and credit them and say, this person has found this amazing piece of content, let's talk about it. So yeah, I think and hope that it's a little bit. I know, actually, you know what? It's a lot more less structured than yours, for sure. Yours, I find like bearable to listen to. Well, not even bearable, but it's quite. It can be pleasant because it's focused and it's like that's how it goes, and I think that's what I enjoy listening to. Whereas I can't tell whether it's because it's my own voice or anything else, but I just love participating in the Avatar Pilots podcast more than listening to it, if that makes sense at all.
Oh no, that totally makes sense, and I think it is partly due to hearing your own voice. I still have it all the time. I'm like, I'm getting more used to it, which is good. But I love what you were saying about like hearing the voices from other people in the community and like learning from them.
Hmm.
That's exactly why I started this podcast, because I don't know anything about Avatar. Look, I'm gonna hold my hands up. I know barely anything.
I mean, you
Uh,
know Sivako, right? That
well,
you like,
yeah, but that's
yeah.
because I went to Florida and rode Flight of Passage like 4 times in one day.
Oh, okay.
um, and what I wanted to do was basically learn more, because I had such an appreciation for what the movie did and what that Florida park is like, and I felt like there was so much to learn and people were willing to teach me, and I thought that was so amazing that people were willing to take the time out of the day, come on this podcast, have a little chat with me, and I can learn things along the way.
Hmm.
And if people want to listen along, they get to learn too, which is great.
Yeah. Touching on what you said, what the community is extremely welcoming. It like from not just the countdown server, but as even in the the language servers, that they're really welcoming. They're really friendly. Um, People are extremely they're extremely motivated to want to help, and people who are just maybe have only just saw the movie on Disney Plus, and they suddenly they have an interest in the language, or they just have a general interest in the movie. Um, I think it's really really it's wholesome for me to see that that I've been that I can lay some claim to a tiny fraction of the fact that this community is like come together. That is extremely like meaningful to me in like a really deep way. I can't even put it into words properly, but it just it makes me feel good on a level that I don't really get from like I don't get it from very many things in general like everyday life, but knowing that that community exists and that I've contributed something to it, that makes me feel good.
I'm not surprised, and honestly, like, it is impressive the sort of community that has built from it all, and having someone like you putting out the podcast, the YouTube videos as well. It's so great to see. There's like a welcoming point in into the community, which doesn't
Yeah,
feel too, dropping giant textbook on your head, sort
yeah,
of, because that's how it can feel sometimes when it comes to other communities. I've been part of other fandoms, and there is sort of like this expectation of having to know so much coming into it, or
hmm,
having to have this set of you need to know, oh, this is good, this is bad, we don't talk about this stuff and things like that.
right. No, I think I've one of my biggest things is to for the Avatar server is that to keep it as open as possible. I hate banning anyone. I love it when people disagree with me. I want people to always like we have like a team of moderators, right? You will have seen, and I want people to always feel comfortable to question those to question any of them, disagree with them, and feel safe in the knowledge that they're not just going to be like banned or muted or anything like that just because they are like willing to have a different opinion. And there are so many different interpretations and sides and views that one can take around Avatar and James Cameron's work. And even when some people might agree on the broad strokes of the thing, it's there'll be like these minor disagreements or minor disagreements in intention. And I'm as bad as anyone else. I've got into a lot of arguments about whether James Cameron meant this or that, or whether it even matters. um but that those disagreements can happen, but that fundamentally we're all there because we love the movie. And a lot of the time the magic of the movie has brought us together is the thing that I hope we can keep. We can like, hold that together, because my one fear is right now we are like I said before, most of the fans are there because they love the movie, and I'm hoping we can keep that ethos of the coming together, which is I guess reflected in the movie itself. The interconnectedness of all things, that everyone's a part of something bigger. Um, I hope that we can keep that with once the Weight of Water comes out and the communities get even bigger, and I think that at that stage there'll probably be even more communities popping up. Um, and I look forward to that day when when there's literally more communities that we can count, and hopefully it means that we're well on our way to embodying some more of the themes that we see in the movies.
Yeah, and obviously with the Way of Water coming out well, I say so soon now. We're still a good 100+ days away right now. Let's not let's
It's
not
a
kid
hundred.
ourselves. It could happen again
It's 144 days today
at
until
the time
Avatar
of
2.
recording. So,
At the time of recording, we're 144 days until Avatar 2.
is this the lowest it's been?
Yes,
Oh,
this is the lowest it's been by quite a way. I think.
oof.
I don't want to jinx it.
We're getting into
Yeah,
like dangerous territory now.
I mean, in 45 days we're going to be in double digits.
That's crazy, right?
I think I don't know how I'm gonna survive. It's scary. I genuinely was like starting to have serious worries where I was like, oh my god, what if I get hit by a car or something? Like, or sit down. A joke among my friends because I'm known as the Avatar guy who's like weird, and I'm just so like a lot of them I think that I'm like Rain Man or something, where I know exactly how many days it's going to be, not because we're counting down. So like people would ask me at work and stuff, "Oh, how many days until I had to do?" And I'd know it because I knew it from the server or from the countdown, and I think they thought I was calculating it in my head when I never was. But yeah, they like to joke with me that like I'm gonna be crossing the street to to go to the film and get hit by a bus or something. I'm like, if that happens, that's fine because at least I've died happy. I was on the way.
And well, this is the thing. You've also now got to survive an extra 8 years because you need to get through all the sequels too.
Oh god, I mean that's because that's the question, right? That's one of the big questions that we've had is what happens on the day it comes out. So, I'm hoping it's going to say 0 days until Avatar 2, but then is the day after going to be 364 days until Avatar 3?
Well, it's not even 364. It's double that because it's 2 years.
Oh, of course, it's 2 years. Oh, that's because I just injected my own theory into the
Oh,
countdown.
oh yeah.
Yeah. Well, this is based on an offhand comment that Jim made in some interview. I don't know. I can't remember the interview, but basically, the original intention was that he wanted to do it like The Hobbit, where it's like one film is released and then the next film is released at the end of the next year, right?
Mm.
And someone asked him about the release of Avatar 3, and he said something along the lines of, "Oh, it's going to be 2 years after at the moment, but we'll see how that goes." Like he's like, he said something like offhand that made me think, maybe he wants to actually do that 1 year thing. And the reason that I think that originally Disney wanted to do it as they're doing it is so next year is the 100th anniversary of Disney, right? They've got all these things planned. It's why D23 that's coming up later this year. The reason it's called D23 is because Disney was founded in 1923, and they wanted to. They're doing this 100th anniversary like celebration across the entire year, and I know that they originally wanted Star Wars to come out in that December slot of December 2023, and Star Wars is obviously in a little bit of a mess at the moment. I mean, I don't want Avatar. I mean, don't want Star Wars fans jumping down my throat. But it doesn't seem to be clear that there is 100% going to be a Star Wars movie in that December slot for 2023. And my feeling is, if Avatar 3 is done, ready to go, and it's been super successful, and the sequel was super successful, I think there's a very real chance that we'll see Avatar 3 in that slot as Jim originally intended. Maybe that's me being overly optimistic, and it probably is. I'm not wrong. I mean, I'm not right a lot more than I'm wrong. But yeah, that's my hope anyway. We'll see. We'll see.
I think it's really interesting because I was just thinking about. I know there's that Star Wars slot right now for next year in December,
Mm-hmm.
and um, I think that I think there's like they don't even know who's doing that film. If it's meant to be the Taika Waititi one, if it's meant to be the Patty Jenkins one, the Road to Squadron one she was meant to be
Yeah,
doing.
yeah,
But neither of those are in production at all. Like I think
right.
Taika's even said he hasn't written anything for for that Star
Yeah,
Wars film yet. So it makes you think, yeah, are they really going to try and push like a Star Wars film out for that 100-year anniversary for Disney? If maybe they've already got an Avatar film waiting, ready to make them some big bucks again.
exactly. And that's exactly what I'm thinking. And I think if the second movie does anywhere near as well as the original, I think that everyone will be reminded, and Jim will go. That December slot's looking really, really good right about now. So, You know, I think we'll see. I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful.
I don't think it would take much for him to convince them that it's the right decision to make, especially if like Way of Water makes another 2 billion.
Yeah, yeah. I
They
think
would probably be just like, "Yep, sure, whatever. You can release it tomorrow if you want to."
yeah.
So obviously with the Avatar community sort of still, we're seeing quite a bit of growth at the minute because of the excitement levels growing. What's your hopes in terms of like how things are going to move forward? Are we? My main concern is that we don't want it to get to sort of like well, I'm going to use Star Wars as the example because it seems to be the example for everything. But we've got like the fandom menace side of Star Wars community and things like that. And I don't know if Avatar is going to suffer from the same sort of issues in a way of having
Uh,
like these divisions of
I mean,
fans. Some who are like, "Oh, Avatar, the first one's the only one I count."
yeah. Well, I guess part of me thinks it's human nature to form different groups or tribes, and that will there'll some weird, difference will form at some point, and I don't know what it'll be. But my optimistic side, I think, is that so long as Jim stays the director, fingers crossed, and Oh, I'll be honest. Some of the suggestions you guys had for the ones that could take over Avatar 4 and 5, I was like, oh my god. But that's only because I'm so loyal to Jim. Because I actually think, yeah, a lot like the
What
Robert
was the worst
Rodriguez.
one?
No, I don't want to say that. I don't
Go
want to
on,
say
go
no. I
on.
don't want to say
I'll
that
cut. I'll
because
cut it. I'll cut it.
I really do. Like as much as I love Nolan,
Oh,
I
Christopher Nolan would be awful.
yeah, I just
Did
wanted
we
Christopher
suggest
Nolan.
Nolan? I can't even remember suggesting him.
I thought did the other guy suggest Nolan or did I hear that?
No, I don't think we did. I don't think we suggested
Oh my,
Nolan
okay.
in the end.
Maybe I read it then after I listened to your
I
thing
mean, if
because
to be fair, Nolan's an awful choice. Great, I get to keep
okay,
this in
that's good.
now.
I,
Sweet.
I was okay, that's good because yeah, I was like no, not Nolan, not Nolan, and because I think your guest that you had on suggested Robert Rodriguez, and I was like that would be fine, but at the same time, every suggestion that he was giving, I was like none of these, just stick with Jim because that was mine. Is that I don't want him to let go of these, but we'll see. But honestly, I think that if Jim sticks with them all, and the fact they've put so much effort into writing them, my hope is that the community won't fracture in any way, and that people kind of are more around what they do love about the movies rather than what they dislike. Because that's and again, I don't profess to know much about like Star Wars. I love the originals. I love the prequels. I think the sequels are a mess, and probably will never watch them again. But I think that a large part of the reason the sequels didn't have the same resonance as the original and to a lesser extent the prequels is because they didn't come from this like single cohesive vision. Um,
Yeah,
I'm
I agree
hoping that
with
it'll
you
be more
there.
like Lord of the Rings, you know,
Hmm.
that it's like everyone loves it and they love the world of Pandora, and it seems like again I don't know a huge amount about Lord of the Rings, but from what I've seen in that community, there does seem to be like a genuine a general cohesiveness. And I'm sure there's going to be a ton of there probably is a ton of divisions that I have know nothing about, but I'd like it to be like that. And I guess more broadly, I would like to see whatever happens in stories reflecting more in the community as well. Because I don't think that we'll see in the sequels a pure like villain role for like the RDA and humanity. I don't think that Jim is going to be that like black and white with how things are going to be. I know like you will have seen it too. A lot of the online discourses around like Quaritch and how Quaritch was right and Quaritch is their favorite character, etc. And I think a lot of that is understandable because we are humans and we're not Navi. But at the same time, if you can watch the home tree collapse and not feel moved by it, then maybe you're a sociopath who needs to see someone. But I'm hoping that those people who are like Quaritch is the best, and I mean I love Quaritch as a character, but I think that his values and his principles are not some that I personally agree with. I'm hoping that there's some kind of movement or redemption, that the story goes in such a way that we can see that the RDA, or that whoever, the humans are now are, they realize that Pandora is this thing to be protected, to be stewards of, to care for, and that people see that and they bring it back to Earth. And that my absolute optimistic, super ideal view would be that a genuine movement comes out of these movies that is like more towards love of, like, Gaia, as in it was the Gaian thing, and that there's a deeper appreciation for Earth, like the Na'vi appreciate Pandora and Dewa. But maybe that's a bit lofty.
I mean, I think that's James Cameron's own hopes, isn't it, as well? Really,
Yeah,
as you said, like earlier on, he I think as much as he probably would deny it, he has made these movies to try and save the world.
yeah. But at the same time, he tried to make the original make 3D become a thing, and that didn't work. So saving the world seems a pretty big ask. If you can't get 3D to take off, is he going to be able to convince everyone to, consuming less and planting more trees? I don't know.
Yeah, but wasn't 3D at that time the red and blue glasses? He had a harder time back then.
No, so it wasn't the red and blue glasses. He had polarized light.
Oh,
So
was it?
yeah,
Oh,
it was the real 3D
oh yeah. I remember
polarized
those
light ones.
ones.
Yeah. They and also it wasn't like it didn't ride the wave of 3D, because that's another one, like, criticism I keep seeing, is that Avatar was released at the height of 3D. It's like, no, it wasn't. It started the wave. It wasn't anything, before that. It was Spy Kids 3D with
That's
the
literally the
red and
example I
blue
use every
glasses. Yeah.
time. I like that that's the same example. Like, anytime I'm like, I need to think of an older 3D movie, Spy Kids. That's it. I can't think of
That's
anything
all I
else.
can
What's
think
wrong
of.
with me?
There's Jaws 3D,
Yeah,
but
but I
I've
don't
never
know.
seen it.
I've not seen it, and I do. I need to. I'm definitely not going to be able to find a copy to watch in 3D, though. I'm sure. I'll have to
I bet
break
it's
up the
out there.
3D elements for myself.
For some weird reason now, I just really want to watch it. I want to see what Jaws 3. I bet it was really, like, cheesy as well. Like, full on the shark coming out the screen and fin and stuff.
You need to those VFX guys react videos. I think they did an episode on the Jaws 3D stuff, and it's so funny.
I'll check that out.
It's so funny because it's like basically like a polygon of this shark just banging into a glass,
my
and the
God.
glass shatters in the wrong direction.
Oh, okay.
It's just incredible. They hadn't figured out physics yet.
It's too much.
I can't blame them. It was like 50 years ago.
Maybe secretly Jim saw it and was like, I need to do better than that. I'm going to show those guys how it's done.
Yeah, again, water-based movies.
Yeah,
He wants anything that's based.
He was
at least anything that's got like a long sequence in the water. He's on it.
Yeah, for sure.
And I'll discuss this because people have been bringing it up quite a bit lately online, which is we just had the trailer for Black Panther: Wakanda Forever come out, and that's got quite a bit of water-based things in, and there seems to suddenly be like a huge like Black Panther versus Avatar 2 movement, and I was like, where does this come from? This is like come out of nowhere.
I feel so. I think two things. First one, I think there's been a kind of secret weird undercurrent of Marvel versus Avatar for a long time, right? And I've definitely been a part of that. There's a lot of memes of Jim like holding the coffin of Marvel and saying, like, this is your home now. It's like one of them that I found really funny. But that there was a lot of discussion for a long time, especially when Endgame overtook Avatar briefly, before the re-release in China. There was this huge discussion online that I definitely noticed, which was like everyone kind of wanted to knock James Cameron off the perch. So I think that's been there for a while, right? But the other thing is, and this isn't, I really enjoyed the Black Panther trailer. I really liked it. The thing that struck me was the structure of the trailer reminded me of the structure of the teaser for The Way of Water. Not the images, the blue people and the whales, but the fact that it was like really melancholic, somber music for like 2/3 of the trailer, and then it finishes the trailer with that really powerful emotive line. Very much, when you watch it, and I was like, that seems weird. I wonder if this is like a new thing that they're doing for trailers. I wonder if it's Disney or if it's, what is it?
I like it though. If that's the way trailers are going,
100%.
I'm sort of done with.
I'm behind that
trailers we've had before, like
for sure.
this is much more interesting to me because
Yeah.
I agree with you. I think that Black Panther trailer is really good. It's very exciting to me because I really like the first Black Panther, and I think this one's going to be good. It looks like it's handling everything with Chadwick Boseman really well.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, it's early days. We don't know how it's handling it, but it seems like it's handling it with a lot of respect.
Yes. The,
Um,
the other thing I'd say is as well is that there's a quote from Jim, and I think it was from like when Titanic got re-released, sometime in 2012. But he talks about, and this isn't exactly the words, but he talks about a creative feedback loop that he makes movies that he himself would want to see, and that he loves seeing elements of his movies in other media and other movies. So, for example, like I know that he really likes Ghost in the Shell, and Ghost in the Shell borrowed massively from Aliens. A lot of the designs are very inspired by the kind of machines in Aliens. So, I think that Jim is probably out there seeing that trailer for Black Panther, and I think he probably loves the motifs and all that, and the fact that they're showing those things for sure. Um, he might not be so happy that it's releasing so close to Avatar, but I definitely think that in terms of him seeing it on screen and him seeing the water on the screens and things like that, I definitely think that he'll be over the moon that we're getting more of that. And I'm hoping we're getting Aquaman 2 next year, right?
that's right. Yeah.
This I think it's a great time to be a James Cameron fan in terms of seeing movies that have got like themes in that he himself has been pushing for a long time. In fact, I would say there's no, it shouldn't be Avatar fans versus Black Panther fans. It should be, guys, we're getting some amazing water-based movies and a bunch of things about underwater and nature and stuff. This is something to celebrate.
Yeah, definitely. And I also think as well, I read a tweet and it said that the VFX team is the same from Avatar and for Black Panther. This is just a tweet, and I think I'll have to double check and verify that. But if so, I can see the similarities, and like
Do
obviously
you,
it's gonna have some similarities if they're
and
both
do you-
the same team.
this is like kind of a tangent, but this is a really funny anecdote that, and again, I'm not sure this is true, but this is what I've heard is that, have you seen Blade Runner 2049?
Yeah.
So the team that did Rachel, and the spoilers for anyone who hasn't seen it, but a character from the original reappears in CGI form. That team that did Rachel, I've forgotten their name, but they were like a small VFX house, right?
Mm.
And the rumor I heard is that one of the reasons why the CGI dropped between like Blade Runner and Dune was because a bunch of the people from that VFX house got poached to work at Waiter on the Avatar movies, and that basically Jim saw that scene in Blade Runner 2049 of Rachel, made some calls and were like, who made that? Where are they? They need to be working on my movie. And that there's this like, I don't know if it's like, again, I don't know if it's true, but I've seen it from like a few different sources that one of the reasons why the CGI in a lot of modern blockbusters has been kind of below average is because all of the best people, all of the best, like all of the rendering farms are all being dedicated to the Avatar sequels. And if that is true, I think that's hilarious.
That's incredible.
But,
If that's true, it's so incredible because it's basically like the last 3-4 years of Marvel movies have suffered through some dodgy CGI effects.
yeah,
Basically because James Cameron's like, I don't want to share my toys.
yeah, exactly. It's
Which
like, or
sounds
it's like,
very
I
James
don't.
Cameron.
It's or not even that. It's that he wants the best people working on his stuff. I don't want them working on anything else. It's like, yeah, come and work for me. Do your best work for me. I guess we'll truly find out if suddenly after the release of Avatar 2 and 3, there's suddenly a massive increase in the quality of CGI.
Oh, we can hope. We'll see. We'll
Yeah.
see.
Fingers crossed, fingers crossed. Because, like you
Yeah.
said, some of the stuff like that's been out recently, I'm like, oh my god! Like, I thought CGI was supposed to be getting better. It almost feels like it's going in reverse in some places.
It's definitely stagnated at points where things that felt like they should have moved further and improved since have maybe just stayed as is.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, you know what? This gonna. I hope there's like a film theory video of this of the drop in quality of
I
VFX
would
caused
love
by
to see
James
that.
Cameron.
That
I
would
think this is a
that would
whole
be
video.
so good. Yeah, maybe it is. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I can't wait to see what the VFX after these movies looks like.
100%.
Maybe
I mean,
suddenly every movie looks like Avatar levels of quality.
that would be, yeah. Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. I would think that would be fantastic. I really. That's my yeah. That's a big hope.
So I think that's sort of a perfect time to start wrapping things up. Have you got any final thoughts in terms of how people might want to get involved a bit more in Avatar if they've got an interest? Obviously, if they listen to this, they've probably already got a little bit of an interest.
I mean, I think that they should. Obviously, I mean, I'm plugging myself, which I'm supposed to.
Oh,
Everyone's
yes,
been
do it.
telling me that I should do more. Is that people subscribe to my channel on YouTube? It's Avatar Guy. Definitely join the Discord. Or even if the Discord isn't to your liking, make your own if you're an Avatar fan. I think the more communities, the better. The more people that love this, the better. I guess I would ask you, like, in terms of Sivako, like, I hope that I've risen to the challenge. And what do you feel is like the trajectory of the community and Avatar as we get closer and beyond?
I mean, my hope is I just want to see it grow in size. I want it to keep the sort of positivity, the sort of being able to be open about bringing in new ideas. Because there are, I think one thing is that there are going to be um, thoughts from people about Avatar and about the Way of Water, which are very valid opinions
Mm-hmm.
about the way Avatar is portrayed, maybe different aspects of it portrayed. And I think the community needs to open up to those ideas and listen to them and understand them as well, because that is a part of growth. And I really just hope that we don't see sort of like a build-in animosity if there are detractors, not detractors as in like they hate the movie, but there's opposing ideas. And I hope
Right.
that we see like people come together and just share ideas, whether they're the same, different, and we can continue to grow and improve the world.
Yeah, no, I'll agree with that.
Because there's definitely like things to think of in terms of how the story of Avatar is portrayed and things like that. And I think it's some discussions I really look forward to having on this
Yeah.
podcast with with some people who I
Oh,
know
yeah,
will have strong
definitely.
opinions.
Yeah, yeah. I mean that's. I mean, again, I think your podcast is probably much better place to have those like singular discussions in in a structured way. For me, it's like I'd love to have some and people on like the Avatar Pilots podcast where say three of us are adamant about one thing, three aren't, and then we just end up like having some kind of like insane discussion. Discussion about it or not. I mean, there's already I have this really controversial theory about Awa being like a biological Skynet, and I think I'm in the minority there. That I think that I'm hoping she's way more involved and a character than I think she probably will be, and a lot of people disagree with me on it. But I always like that one. That's my bugbear. I'm like, yeah, Awa's a biological Skynet, and she's gonna do all these crazy, amazing things, and everyone's like, oh my god, he's talking about that again, like stuff like that. But no, definitely. I mean, even that's the other thing as well. The more people come in, the more perspectives, from different places. And a lot of the time, it can be perspectives that you never even considered. And that's when I really get excited. When it's like someone says, I mean, like Minty, who's on the podcast, he talks about how he's been down to like and visited, he's lived with the Zulu peoples. And he talks about some of the aspects of Avatar that he personally doesn't like because it like overgeneralizes or it like, it's a bit naive about native populations, something like that. And that kind of informed opinion, blows my mind because I don't know anything about any of those things. So for me, that's one of the perfect times where I shut up and listen. And I really hope there's tons of opportunities, from various people in the community where I can just shut up and listen.
Yeah, that's kind of my hope as well, because there are some people with incredible opinions on it, and people written academic essays and stuff like that. And I'd love
Oh
to
yeah,
hear from them because there's so much to talk about. And I
yeah,
think as well, because it is the biggest movie of all time, it has had an overall effect on the way we view movies and the world at large, whether people like to deny it or not.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you need to reach out to some of the people on, like, not just the Avatar server, but like on the Learning Navi servers. So like Kelotral is one that I don't know if you're a member of that, or the Learn Navi one as well. About the language. There's tons of people on there who are extremely knowledgeable, and I wasn't even aware of just how many words the language has. There are people who are really knowledgeable about like the fauna and flora of the planet and all the kinds of things about the ship. For example, like one of our people who's always on the podcast is Clee, who goes by ISV Venture Star Fan, and he's always bringing up like the blueprints of the ISV, the fact that NASA engineers actually got hired to help design that ship. And there's like some really cool videos on YouTube about how it's the most scientifically accurate spaceship ever designed. It's just there's so many. I think that you've got a lot of content to get through, and a lot of people that you're probably gonna have to talk to. So good luck, man.
I know I've really set myself a big challenge here. And
Yeah,
originally I was like, oh, this podcast will probably lead up to it'll lead up to the first movie, and then we'll see how it goes from there. And at this point, I'm like, it's gonna have to keep going because there's just too much to enjoy. Like I'm having too much fun with it, chatting with everyone because
that's good to hear. Though. That's good to
everyone
hear.
has brought something new to me to understand, and even like the stuff today I've learned about 4chan things and the fact that there's there's a whole community of people who like Quaritch is right, and I'm like, what?
Yeah. Oh man.
I need to get someone on from that to explain that point of view because I do not see that one bit.
No. Like I said, I don't know how many of them are saying it like in jest, or there's perhaps is some people who out there who are genuinely like, yeah, Quaritch is 100% justified in his actions, and like I said, in which case, I think you're nuts, but you're well welcome to your opinions. I'll be over here. Yeah, no, I think you're gonna have more than you can get through. So yeah. I hope, maybe the title is really good for you, yeah, because it's almost you. You've got to rise to the challenge you've set yourself.
100%. That is what this has become. It's no longer a rise to the challenge for anyone else. It's me specifically. By the time the final Avatar film comes out, if I do not understand every single bit of Avatar lore, I have failed. But we'll see. I've just set myself a great challenge for the next however many years.
For sure.
Oh dear. Oh dear, this is going to be a fun one. I've honestly, thank you so much for coming onto the podcast. It's been
Thanks for having me on.
Absolute pleasure. You have mentioned about your YouTube, so Avatar Guy. That's the where to find you, correct?
Mm-hmm, correct. Yep.
Amazing.
And there's a bunch of links there that you can find the Discord server and all the other kind of crazy places. Yeah.
Awesome.
Definitely.
And yeah, you got the podcast going there as well. So it's been amazing listening to that.
And we've now got you locked in for an episode or maybe more.
Amazing. Give me a shout beforehand. I would absolutely love to join you.
Excellent. Thanks. Honestly, thanks so much for having me. This has been a blast.
Oh, awesome. And anytime if you suddenly come up with a topic you're like, I'm desperate, I need someone to talk about this in depth for an hour, you've always got a platform here to chat.
Thank you. I'll keep it in mind.
I do have one final question, and as I know you've listened to a few of the podcasts, you'll probably know what the question is. If by any chance you were invited to the Avatar London premiere, could I be your plus one?
I think that I probably ought to have to give that to Ashen One if that happens.
Oh, my 100% record has gone.
Ouch. Just because he'd kill me if I didn't.
No, that's true.
He would legitimately kill me if I didn't.
They get superiority to
me. Yeah.
But right
so
now,
I'll have to say I'm sorry, but I'm sorry. I've been the combo breaker. I apologize. If I manage to get this, but this is a legitimate one. So my hope is that for the fans in the UK and perhaps Europe, is that I'm willing to book out the Leicester Square Odeon, and that I would pay for all the tickets, and that we will get a big cohort of fans, so we can all go see it together, and just be us watching it in the best possible cinema. In the best possible thing. I think that would be that's one of the things that I'm hoping to do, that to create that space for us all, and where we'd be able to go, and maybe we'd be able to all shout, do the countdown before the film started or something crazy like that. But it's definitely something that I kind of have on the back burner that I'm trying to figure out. So I have been in contact with the Odeon in Leicester Square, about booking out one of their, their rooms. Probably not for the actual day of release, but maybe the day after.
Yeah.
And I know it's really close to Christmas, so I'm not, I don't know how easy it will be for everyone to get there. But if that does happen, then you are most certainly invited.
Oh, that sounds amazing. Look, I'll take that. It's not a win on the premiere, but it's a win on the the alleged fan event that's going to
Also,
happen.
I'm not sure you'd want to be with me at the premiere because I'm going to be the guy who's dressed as a blue frog, screaming 0 days until Avatar 2. Right?
It sounds like you might be escorted out of the Avatar
Yes,
premiere.
probably, yeah. I'm probably going to end up in a cell, so
Oh
you
dear.
probably wouldn't want to be my plus one anyway. I'm not really. I'm not. If anyone's listening, I'm not. But no, but seriously, I'll hope to be there. I don't know if I actually will. We'll see. We'll see.
Oh, well, I got my fingers crossed for you, and obviously for myself. So we'll see. We'll see. We'll get to December, and we'll see how things lie. And I would like to just thank you again for coming on, and thank everyone for listening. It's been a lovely episode. It's been a lot of fun to learn a bit about the community and your journey through YouTube. And I look forward to having you on again sometime.
Thanks, man.
Awesome. So to everyone, if you want to find out a bit more about me, you can find me on Twitter. I'm at AvatarPod. We're now on TikTok as well at AvatarPod. That's a fun one. Getting into the TikTok scene because that seems to be quite fun. As Avatar Guy mentioned, YouTube's a good place. I'm trying to get all my ones on YouTube as well. So hopefully you can catch them all on there by the time this episode comes out. And you can find it on the usual podcasting services, Spotify, Amazon, Google Podcasts, that sort of thing. Hope you have a great day. Catch you all later. Goodbye.